What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. This is going to be a very short show today for the most part. I just wanted to do something quick today. Just wanted to announce that the Phoenix Suns are down to their final two coaching candidates. They are down to two Cavalier assistants, Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Not familiar with Jordan Ott. I would probably go with Johnny Bryant. He's developed a pretty good reputation as a talent evaluator. He was with the Knicks as an assistant for a while, but he was in Utah at one point as well. He's worked with a lot of talented young guards. He worked with Emmanuel Quickly in New York. He was very close with him. Quickly credits him for a lot of his player development. He's worked with Donovan Mitchell for a while. I think he may have worked with Colin Sexton with the Jazz. He's another solid player. So Suns are looking at him and Jordan Ott right now. Johnny Bryant would be the probably the better candidate. I think he could make a solid coach. Johnny Bryant. Ott, not so sure about. Don't really know much about that guy, but surprised they didn't look a little more into Chris Quinn. Chris Quinn's a guy I've kind of been waiting for a long time. He's been assistant for the Heat under exposure for a long time. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more looks over the years. You get the interviews every year, but never get the job. Who knows? Maybe he's a really bad interviewer. I don't know, but I would have given him a little more, but I think Johnny Bryant make a solid coach, so hopefully they make the right decision, go with him. Knowing the Suns, they'll go with Jordan Ott, but either way, that roster is in shambles. They're aggressively trying to trade Kevin Durant right now. They're stuck at Bradley Beal. That team isn't good. Mike Budenholzer couldn't get that team to the play-in, I don't think. All due respect to Johnny Bryant, like he will be either. I mean, maybe if they get something back for Durant, that's decent. They'll help them retool a bit, but they're probably not going to be very good for a while. But Suns down to the last two coaches. And on the NFL side, Frank Ragnow has announced his retirement from the NFL. Very shocking, only 29 years old, all-pro center for the Lions. This is a big loss for the Lions. Their quarterback, Jared Goff, is a quarterback who really needs a strong offensive line to give him time to throw the ball. He's had it in Detroit, but this is a big loss. Lions, you could argue, had the best offensive line in the league heading into the season. Now, they still have probably one of the better ones, I guess, but it's certainly not as good. Definitely takes a hit. I think their over-under was around 10.5. I've heard a lot of people have them around like 11, 12 wins. They're probably going to be closer to like 10 now when it comes to win projections. But Ragnow, that's a big loss for the Lions. I mean, they did draft Tate Rutledge, so maybe he gets thrown in there. And could you move Graham Glasgow to center? He plays both guard and center, but played a little more guard throughout his career. Could you move him? So you have options to replace him, and they still have a strong line. So with Sewell and Decker at tackle, that's obviously very helpful. But this is a pretty big loss for the Detroit Lions, especially when you have a guy in Goff who's a very, very good quarterback, but he needs time to throw the ball. I mean, that's an offense that loves to run with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They love their explosive plays, and that line does a lot for them. With Dan Campbell and company over there, so that's a pretty big loss for the Detroit Lions. But he shockingly announced his retirement at the age of 29 as right sort of OTAs. It's the problem when the guy steps away or where he gets traded, let go, retires. In the beginning of OTAs, his training camp is quickly approaching. If he does it in the off season, even if it's unexpected, does it top free agency, you can still go out and get a guy to replace him. But a guy does it after free agency, after the draft, he does it during the off season program, like during OTAs, during camp. It's really tough to replace him. You really can't go out and make a move, even if there is somebody solid you can go out and maybe bring in. Whether you give up a late round pick to bring in via a trade, or you bring a guy in for a year in free agency, get them acclimated, very quickly. It's very, very difficult. So you kind of have to replace them internally, and Lions don't have the worst. Obviously, the personnel is very good with the line, but behind Ragnow, when it comes to depth, it's pretty good. But certainly won't get what they would have gotten out of Frank Ragnow. So that's a tough loss for the Detroit Lions. And to finish off today, I'm going to go over my NFL awards picks for this upcoming season. I mentioned at the top, but this would be a short show. We're in the depths of hell for sports. June, July. Training camp hasn't started for the NFL, so no real storylines are forming. Baseball's like kind of like in the middle, not a whole lot going on. And you got the NBA NHL coming to an end. You got the finals. I already did a little finals preview and a cup final preview. So once you preview those two series, there isn't already a whole lot to really talk about. So let's get into it. My league MVP pick this year is actually Joe Burrow. Last year had a huge year, over 4,900 yards and like 38 touchdowns, something like that. Had a huge year. If the Bengals made the playoffs, he may have won MVP. The guy's a stud. He's coming off an amazing year. Jamar Chase is coming back. T. Higgins is coming back. There's a chance that those guys will be in even better health. A full year of Chase Brown as your top back. Gesicki is back. So there's a chance that the Bengals, at least offensively, the best offense in the league, they don't have much of a defense. We don't know what's going on with Trey Hendrickson, your star pass rusher. You still haven't taken your first round pick pass rusher Shamar Stewart. I think you're a second rounder. The linebacker Knight, he hasn't been signed yet either. So I'm not sure what the front office is doing. Defensively, they leaves a lot to be desired. Sam Hubbard's one of their better pass rushers. Retired after the year, so didn't really address the corner and the safety spot in free agency and the draft like I thought they would. So I don't expect them to be that much better defense than they were last year. Hopefully the regime change with Al Gordon, the defensive coordinator, will help. But I think Burrow is going to have another crazy year. Could even be even better. And I think he will be MVP this year. Offensive player of the year, I think it'll be Saquon Barkley again. The guy's just nuts. I mean, offensive line, you do lose Mekhi Beckley on the line. He's a guy who was one of the better run blockers in the league last year. Obviously, you move him to guard after he fails to tackle with the Jets. You do trade it. You do lose, not trade him. You lose him in free agency. However, the Eagles still have maybe the best offensive line in the league. They still have the best offensive line coach in the league. And what's his name? Jeff Stoutland, I think is his name. And they've had a lot of guys. Like a guy like Jordan Malaya was like a late round draft, but they turned him into an All Pro. Jason Kelce retires. Cam Jurgens, a former third rounder, like 2 years prior that they drafted. They throw him in there. He's an All Pro. Mekhi Becton was a disaster in New York. They bring him in. They move him to guard from tackle, which he never really played, and he was one of the better linemen in the league last year. But they do this every year. I won't be surprised. Kenyon Green from a first-round pick who hasn't really worked out in Houston. If they throw him in there at Becton's spot, and he ends up becoming a Pro Bowler this year. So, line should still be just as elite. Now he has A.J. Dillon as a second back behind him, and just how dangerous that offense is. And the defense obviously will still be able to get stops, even with losing a couple of pieces up front, even with losing Gardner Johnson in the secondary. They still have a lot of firepower up front with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis up front. You still got two really good young corners in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. So I think Saquon should have a similar year he had last year when he pushed 2,000 yards, and I think he'll be off the player of the year again. A defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Pat Surtain. To me, he's the best corner in the game. And now you draft Jahdae Barron to be on the other side of him. He should, that should make things easier for him. That defense is really, really talented. And you had Hufanga behind him. In front of him, you had, who's the linebacker you added? Dre Greenlaw. So he's got even more support now. It'll be a little easier for him, and he should have another amazing year. I think he wins Defensive Player of the Year. Denver is clearly signaling they're going to win football games by playing elite defense. You have a young quarterback and Bonus going into his second year. You could have went out and brought in a big name receiver in the draft or in free agency. Didn't really do it. They could have went out and drafted a running back in the first round. They didn't do it. Took RJ Harvey. I think a round or two later. I'm going to roll with him on what they have. So clearly they're going to win games by playing a lot of defense. They have a great offensive line. You bring in Evan Engram at the tight end spot. So that's how they're going to win games, and they're going to be led by Patrick Surtain, who I think wins Defensive Player of the Year. My Rookie of the Year is on the offensive side. I have Ashton Jeanty. On top of obviously just a superior talent, superstar running back coming out of Boise State, was a 6th pick overall by the Raiders. He's going to get so many reps. They're going to feed that guy. He's outside of Brock Bowers, the only true playmaker that you have. Maybe the best overall playmaker in this draft coming out, and he's obviously gonna be the Dell Kill at the running back spot. I think we'll see time in the pass game because the receiving corps of Brock Barrett leaves a lot to be desired. Jacoby Myers and a lot of kind of meh. You have a guy in Geno Smith who loves his dump offs and thrives under a good running game. So I think Gentry has a big year. And the offensive line's pretty good over there too. So I think Gentry was off the rookie of the year. My defensive rookie of the year is Aldo Carter, star pass rusher at Penn State, was third overall by the Giants. There's so much talent on the line with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. So he's not gonna. You really can't double team Abdul Carter. So and a guy who's that fast and that athletic, when you're not double teaming him, that's a tough matchup for any left tackle or guard or whoever's on him. So I think he's gonna feast this year. I think he'll lead on what could be an elite Giants defense, and I think he will be the defensive rookie of the year. And a new award this year is the Protector of the Year, which is going to be given to the best offensive lineman in the league. I'll go with Lane Johnson for this one. They're going to need him to step up. You lose Mekhi Becton next to him. I think he does just that, and he wins the first ever Protector of the Year award. Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Mike Vrabel. I'm not sure if I have New England going to the playoffs this year. I'll be a Jeff fan. I hope they don't. I can't deal from their dynasty. I just can't do it. But if he gets them to the playoffs, he's going to win Coach of the Year. This is a team that's been a disaster for a couple of years now. Last year, only won, 4 games? Were an absolute disaster. Obviously, you add a bunch of pieces, especially on defense. You do make a lot of changes in the offseason to the roster. The roster is a little bit better, for sure. But so he's got a second-year quarterback, first full year as a starter, has a really young offense, a lot of moving pieces. And obviously, there's a whole Stephon Diggs drama here in OTAs. Vrabel, if he can come in there and get that team to, let's say, 10 wins and makes the playoffs, I think you got to give it to him. Which is, I'm not sure if I have him get to there. I think I have probably 8 wins, something like that. But if he gets him to the playoffs, he's going to be Coach of the Year. Comeback player of the year, I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson. A lot of mouths to feed in Minnesota. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Obviously, you have a young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy who hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet. He was obviously hurt last year. But he's a guy who 2 or 3 years ago was a top 5 tight end in the sport. Was an absolute superstar at the tight end position. Last year, coming off a torn Achilles, didn't play that much. Wasn't as effective. But second year off a torn Achilles is usually when guys really truly revert back to form. I think he does that. Young quarterbacks love tight ends. I think McCarthy will take advantage of Hawkinson. Obviously, Justin Jefferson will continue to be the elite receiver that he is. Jordan Addison will get his targets. They'll run the ball with Aaron Jones. But TJ Hawkinson, I think, will have a bit of a bounce-back campaign. I think he will be the comeback player of the year. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.